So this is our first day back. I'll be honest with you, I'm very excited for today. Coach Rock, not only do I appreciate when he speaks and what he talks about, but his topic today, if I had to guess, I would think about probably, even to this day, I think about probably 10, 15 times a day. And that isn't an exaggeration or to make you think this is for real. Like, this is an important mindset, philosophy, and kind of behavior that I think you should really buy into, and I think is important for you in sports and life and school and anything that you go through. Coach Rock's had a long career, and I'm not going to give you all the accolades. Played football here at Fairmont, played at Miami of Ohio, was on the roster for the Tampa Bay Bucks, and is now the defensive line coach for the University of Dayton, correct?
Yes.
So Coach Rock, I actually had him last year when I was the coach at Centerville. I had him come into our practice and observe just because I think Coach Rock knows about cultures and behaviors and what it should look like and the way it should operate. So his speech today I purposely not talked about, something that I think about all the time, but I purposely haven't talked about because I think it's so important. I also told Coach, I want to show him this picture. This is him in college a long time ago. Note the hair. The hair's a lot different.
A lot more of it.
Yeah, a lot more of it. This Coach back in Miami. This is him now at the University of Dayton. I'm not going to give you any sort of intro to his topic today, but I've talked about the classes and I sincerely think about it all the time. So Coach Rock's going to talk to you. I would encourage you to keep notes. Again, this is not a real class. I don't care if you keep notes or don't. We are videotaping this, so we'll have it after. But I think this is crucial for you as a student and student athlete. Coach Rock, it's all you.
Just forward and go. What's this guy doing? Come on. All right, hey, it's really awesome to be here. I haven't had a chance to get in front of this many people in a while. All right, some of you I've had in class, so maybe there's some overlap because I try to bring it up every once in a while, but it's a topic that I really think is important, much like Coach said. It's something that I wish I would have been exposed to much earlier in my athletic career, right? I would have benefited greatly being exposed to this concept in high school, in college, and any professional experience I had, I would have benefited greatly. So the starting point here is I certainly did not develop it. These are two guys that really have made it famous. That's Brian and Tim Kite. They're really based out of Columbus. They're Ohio people. The younger guy, that's a father and son. The son now is down in North Carolina, and the dad's still in Columbus. But they really kind of developed the structure of this, of what I'm talking about today. So we're just going to scratch the surface. So if this is something that intrigues you, they have a Focus 3 website. They've got videos and a channel on YouTube, and it just goes on and on, a podcast and whatnot. So obviously this is all stolen, right? But it's something I really believe in now. So some starting points here. You know, when you think about your career as an athlete, or even your career as a student, and later on as a husband or a wife or a father or employee, whatever it may be, I think a lot of things that we're going to talk about are going to be addressed here. So that first point there, right, the behavior of people is what drives the performance of a team, a school, a business. Behavior, right? Your behavior, okay? And exceptional behavior, not the circumstances around you, right? The choice that you make to have exceptional behavior is a source of excellent results. Pretty simple and direct, right? But what's that mean? It's really easy to look at and say, oh, that's easy. Yeah, I'll just choose really easy, really quickly to just be show exceptional behavior. But it's not that easy, even though it's very simple. So the focus today, right, is this R factor. It's the E plus R equals O. And again, it's not rocket science. And I'm going to try not to say that anymore, but I think it's really important to keep things simple because that's how you can apply it on a daily basis. But E stands for the event. The R is response. And then that O is the outcome. So E plus R equals O. Now here's the thing, right? Outcomes are not defined by the events we experience. Your outcomes are not defined by the events we experience. Outcomes are determined or influenced or affected, okay, by how we choose to respond. So just think about how many times in a day, whether it be at home, at school, at practice, something doesn't go your way. Does that happen? It doesn't go the way you expect it or the way you would prefer it. And how many, you don't have to raise your hands, but just think, how many times have you said, this sucks? Or that sucks? Or why are we doing this? I can't believe this happened. This isn't fair. I don't deserve this. Any other thing, has that ever been said in your mind at some point? I would imagine yes, because I know I've said that. And we probably all have to struggle not saying that every single day. Well, that's where this comes into play. Okay? So the R factor is really what drives E plus R equals O. Okay? And again, right, not to be repetitive, but we do not control events, right? We do not control things that happen at practice or things that happen in games or even people around us, okay? Things that happen in class, things that your parents do, things that your friends or your teammates do or our opponents do or a referee, right, a call they make in a game. What we do control is how we respond to that event, okay? So we choose our actions, okay? You choose whether to give up and say, forget about it, right? And probably be a little bit more abrasive when you're grumpy and mad, say forget about it, or push and persevere through that obstacle. You choose how you interact with people, right? Are all people easy to interact with? Are there some exhausting people in your life? Maybe exhausting people from your point of view on your team? You're not going to change them. But what you can change is how you respond to them, how you deal with them, right? How you persevere through that relationship. Same thing goes for everything else we've just mentioned, okay? So you have to make a decision every single day. And it's every single day. And maybe we could argue it's every single moment. You have to make a decision on how you're going to respond and handle that moment. And that's difficult because it's really easy for all of us to take that path of least resistance and complain, blame, or get defensive. Yeah? Okay, it happens all the time. So, right, things come at us fast. Good things, bad things happen every day. Situations, people, responsibilities change. We're always trying to figure out and manage things. So let's just take a moment, okay, to think about, and I've mentioned some of it, right? And I want you to apply it to what's, works for you or, your sport. And I'm going to start actually with out of school. Traffic. Have you ever been in the car, if you're a driver, or been with your parents, and traffic is really bad, really slow, and you're in a hurry? Yeah? Have you ever seen somebody, or maybe been in the car, and you're screaming and yelling at the traffic, or the car in front of you, or the person that cut you off? Have you seen that happen in the car? You're smiling and not nodding very. Well, do you have any control over that person in that car? No, right? If you scream and yell and your blood pressure gets up and you are using some curse words and screaming at yourself in the car, how is that going to change the situation? It's not, right? But if you stay calm, right, you stay focused, you drive safe, you're going to get where you need to go, okay? You might be a few minutes late, but if you lose your mind and you scream and cuss and all that stuff, you're certainly not going to change how that person's driving. You're not going to change the rain, the snow, the icy roads, whatever it may be, or the construction. But hey, you're going to keep your wits about you. And when you get to where you're going, you're not going to be flustered. You're going to be able to do what you set out to do that day, right? If you're in a game, have you ever felt like the referee made a bad call? Right? Or you got the short end of the deal on some call? You're never going to change that ref. Okay, and I actually wrote this down because I didn't want to forget it. Okay, it kind of applies to that. All right? I'm shaped, right, or we are all shaped by our genetics. We are influenced by our circumstances. But I'm defined by my choices. Okay? I'm defined by my choices. And that goes all day long. Right? If you've made bad choices in the past, if you've responded negatively in the past situations, that's in the past. You're going to be defined by what you do moving forward. So putting that in perspective, right, when you get a bad call from a referee, how is throwing your hands up in the air, putting your hands up, shaking, right, all that bad body language, how is that going to change that call? Is the referee, have you ever seen a referee go, hey, timeout. You know what? She was complaining, and you know what? I think you're right. Let's go back and let's take away that foul. Has that ever happened in a game or a penalty in football? No. But your body language, right? Move on. Now, hey, you're focused on the next opportunity. You're not caught up in the past, right? You're not focused on the bad. You're focused on what can I do now? How can I respond to that? I felt, I don't agree with that call, but I'm going to focus on my job moving forward. And right, that's going to put you in a situation to be very successful. If you're stuck 5 minutes ago, you're probably going to miss something. You're going to miss an opportunity. And that happens on the field, on the court, in the classroom, at home. So, kind of going back to a little behavior talk here, right? And this really became well known because of the book that these guys, Brian and Tim Kite, wrote with Urban Meyer, okay? And that's probably where the Focus 3 group gained the most of their publicity, is writing that book with Urban Meyer, because they came in and they did this with Ohio State football. And I promise you, I'm not an Ohio State fan. I mean, I kind of root for them, but I'm not an Ohio State fan. But this is really great. So this is about your behavior, right? Is your behavior above the line, or is it below the line? And again, you have to choose that. If you look at what behavior looks like above the line, it's very intentional. Okay? It's very intentional in how you handle it and the choices that you make. It's on purpose. It wasn't just, well, I just tried this. Oh, I thought this might work. I thought this might be good. And it's skillful. Okay? Look over here, right? Winning behavior. All those things apply, right? To be intentional, to be purposeful, to be skillful. And again, that's a choice. And again, it's something you have to focus on every single moment of the day, because it's really easy to go the other way and be below the line, right? Where you're impulsive, okay? Or maybe you just say, hey, I'm putting on the autopilot. I'm going to get through practice today because I really don't want to be here. Or, hey, I got yelled at by my coach, and I think it's, I don't agree with it, so I'm just going to get through practice. Okay, whatever. I know we've all seen that, right? Just go on autopilot, just get through, okay? Or resistant. And now you are, putting up a wall, okay? Or you're stiff-arming the situation or the person, okay? And there's no growth there. There's no opportunity to be purposeful or be intentional, because you're just saying, I'm done, right? Have you seen that happen in life? And I'm sure we've all felt that way. So just what I want you to do, right? Take 5 seconds, 10 seconds here, and think about a situation where your behavior has been above the line, right? Where you had some rough waters, right? Some hurdles to deal with, some rough people to deal with, and you chose to be intentional. You've chose to be above the line. Can you think of one? Where you knew it wasn't a perfect situation, a perfect circumstance, and you chose to respond the right way and be positive and be intentional? Now flip it. How many times have you been below the line? How many times have you been impulsive? Have you kind of said, screw it? Have you gone on autopilot? Has it happened? I would imagine, again, the answer is still yes. I'll tell you this. I'm going to tell one little story, I guess, in terms of relating it to opportunities and athletics. I'm a coach now. I'm not an athlete, okay? And being a coach is great. But I still refer back to a lot of that time, because it really built me, into the person I am, and how I teach you guys in the classroom, and how I coach the guys now, right, at UD. But I had an opportunity after college to play professional football, and it was great. And I knew, right, it's a very small percentage of people who get the opportunity, and even a smaller percentage of people who get to make it. Well, I got cut, right? So you have a lot of success, and I got cut. And at the time, I was kind of okay with being cut. I understood that some of those guys who were in that locker room in Tampa Bay were really, really good. The next opportunity I got was up in Canada. Got to go play football in Canada. So it was still professional football, but it wasn't the NFL. And when I got there, I was kind of excited. But once I got there, looking back, I was totally below the line. I was grumpy. It wasn't the NFL, right? Things weren't as nice, weren't as fancy, okay? We didn't have, some of the extra stuff. And I spent so much of my energy thinking about, this is ridiculous, why am I here, what do I have to do, not in a positive way. What can I do to get back there? And I got cut again. And I'm telling you, to this day, that's something I think about and motivates me probably on a daily basis. That I had a really great opportunity to get paid, right, to play professional football, and I let it slip through my hands because I chose a really negative outlook. Because to me at that time, it wasn't good enough. Stupid. So that's like almost the driving force of why I coach now, because I don't want somebody else to let that an opportunity, whatever it may be, whether it be a job opportunity, a school opportunity, okay? Oops. There we go. Okay. Anyway. So I wish, going back to where I started, I really wish I would have had some guidance or structure of a concept of how to deal with those situations. And listen, I think even back then I was a positive person, right? And intelligent in terms of making pretty good decisions. But that was one where I reflect back all the time where my behavior was below the line. So, right, as you move forward, when has blaming somebody, complaining to somebody, or getting defensive about your behavior, what you did, ever helped? Right? If we can eliminate BCD, I promise things will improve. Okay? And you look at that, right? What doesn't work? What isn't, BCD is not above the line behavior, right? Because too often, right, when things go wrong, we finger point. Oh, that situation sucks. That person, did this or did that. That coach doesn't know what he's doing. Or even can blame, my mom and dad. They're only 5'10". If my mom would have married somebody who was 6'5", I would have had a chance to be taller, be better at my sport. That's funny, but heck, at one point I thought that, right? So, right, whether you're blaming, okay, or you're complaining about a situation, and that's hard. It's hard not to complain, isn't it? Isn't it easier to complain sometimes? Right? Sometimes you're like, oh, I'm just venting. Well, no, you're not. You're taking your energy, right, from the core of your existence, your energy that you put out in the world, and you're making it negative. And has complaining truly ever positively affected you or the situation you were in, or the situation you were complaining about? I think the answer is no. Okay? And get defensive. It's really easy to get defensive. Okay? Well, this is why. Or if someone questions you, a coach questions you, a teacher questions you, right? A parent questions you, get defensive. You have to choose in that moment to be honest, right? To be intentional with your answer, maybe with your explanation of why you chose to do what you did. But if you're not, if you're doing that, it's wasted energy. Okay, and you're not going to get it back. Okay, and like I have that in my classroom because sometimes, right? Some of you, right? I see you nodding. How many people have had me in class? Right? Probably a third of you at least. Have you seen this on my board? Yeah, and it's really there for me. I try to share it and talk about it because it's really easy. Something goes wrong, right? You get an email about something going on at school, or a principal wants you to do something, okay? Or something I forgot to do at home, or may I get a text from home? I have to take a deep breath and I look at that on the board. I go, okay, complain's not going to help. All right? Blaming a principal or whatever the situation may be for me is not going to help. A waste of energy. So let's focus on our team, right? The environment that you're in. Okay, what's the difference maker, right? For you to be average or good, or to be a team that excels and is great and be a championship team, it's the leadership. Okay? And it's really easy just to talk about leadership. And I know, Coach, and that's why we're doing this. Because it's a skill, right? It's an intentional skill you have to learn. But I promise you, right, with you and your team, okay, every team that's been successful at a high level, every team that's won a championship, whether they knew it or not, had exceptional leadership. Okay? They were intentional with what they were doing. They were intentional with how they interacted with their teammates. They were intentional with how they responded to their coach, okay? And they made sure, whether they realized or not, that their behavior was above the line through good moments and rough moments. Because, right, it's not so much about talent. It's not. It's about teams, right, that figure that out together, that are led by maybe a couple people on the team, at least get on that path to now, right? It's that commitment to each other and that leadership that takes them over the hump. Because there's always going to be somebody, and I know all your coaches have said this, that are bigger, faster, and stronger. And I promise you this, right? If you figure it out, you and your team, and you commit to it, okay, nothing can stop that. Nothing can stop that. But it's something you have to think about and focus on every single practice, every single rep in practice, okay, every single moment in the game. And when you do this in a game at a ref, or put your hands up and do all that stuff, you're wasting energy, right? You want to eliminate that BCD. And the bottom line, okay, and it's kind of repetitive, I get it, all right, but go back to your behavior. Think about your behavior in those moments, okay? And sometimes you have to take a deep breath and make sure that you respond above the line, okay? It's your job. Isn't it your job? As a member of this school, as a member of your team, as a member of your family, whatever it may be, right? It's your job to be intentional, to be purposeful, to be above the line, and be exceptional at it. And you control that, nobody else. And you just need to remember that every single day. You control it. Now, hey, I'm not going to talk about this, but these are 6 things that the Focus 3 people kind of put together for those moments of when you are involved, right, whatever it may be, right, overwhelmed, wanting to blame, complain, get defensive. You press pause, okay? You get your mind right. Another reminder, right? You get your mind right, okay? Think about what's important. You step up and you respond above the line in your behavior. Sometimes you have to adjust and adapt, okay? It's not going to always be perfect, right? You have to make a decision to make a difference and positively affect the people around you, your teammates, whoever it may be. And then, right, again, build skill. Be intentional about the habits you develop. And there's, again, lots of literature out there to kind of help if you really ever want it, because like these are things I have printed out and always have access to. But they focus on that a lot, those 6 things. And if you would go to like their YouTube channel, they have like a video on each of these, which is really good stuff. All right, Coach.